for this sort of plummy accented, Oxbridge-educated, Tory in a red rosette, frankly, to be saying that was just the most offensive thing I've ever heard, and it took every sinew of my self-discipline not to thump him.
Now, Ken Livingstone, who is on the NEC, has added to the divisions by calling for Labour MPs Simon Danjuck and Frank Field to be moved against for what they've said about Corbyn. I spoke to Ken Livingstone earlier and asked him whether Andrew Fisher was really the kind of man he wanted in the leader's office.
He's absolutely clear about this. He did not say it. He voted for the Labour candidate at the general election. It was
but he told people to vote against Emily Benn, Tony Benn's granddaughter.
No, he said
back the class war candidate.
Badly done. Yeah, but it was meant to be a jokey aside, and that's the thing. He's not really saying you should get hold of George Osborne and punch him in the face. Those were sort of, rather unpleasant jokes. They're not a defining political strategy that he's got. We'll win the next general election by having a positive economic alternative to the Tories, and that's why Jeremy's brought him in.
But he's not positive, is he? He's not kinder. He's just sort of nasty about people.
I mean, he said some rather rude things about people. Then so have I occasionally. I've occasionally been rude to the odd journalist and so on. But the issue is what he's brought to this role is very good policy, grasp of policy and detail. And that's what Jeremy's got to build around him, a team that looks as though it can run Britain a lot better than the current crew.
Because what it suggests, though, is that we have Jeremy Corbyn, who does the sort of the kindly old uncle thing about we want a nicer, caring politics. But he's got his henchmen ready to kneecap you if you step out of line.
Well, no, that's the big change in the Labour Party under Jeremy. All these Labour MPs who've come out and said, I disagree with Jeremy about this or that, no disciplinary action, no one gets sacked.
Well, then why are you calling for people like Simon Danjuck and Frank Field to be drummed out?
No, I'm not. I'm just pointing out the double standard here. I mean, there's all this fuss about what Fisher said, but we've had Frank Field saying if an MP's deselected, they should stand as an independent, we should all support them.
That's what you did, isn't it?
You can't have one rule for the MPs. But you can't have one rule for the MPs and another for everybody else.
Then? I mean, that's what
either we're all free to say what we want, or we all have to toe a line. What you can't have is MPs say whatever they like, but ordinary party members are bound by tight rules.
The thing is, you're on the NEC, so not only have you prejudged the investigation into Andrew Fisher, but when you say things that you do about people like Simon Danjuck and Frank Field, it's a little bit menacing, isn't it?
No, I'm just pointing out the contradiction here. I mean, I know from my contact with Jeremy's office that Fisher didn't mean that. He specifically voted Labour. It was a badly structured tweet that gave the wrong impression.
Well, what did he mean when he said vote class war?
Committed to Labour. He was taking the mickey out of class war. I mean, be honest. I mean, they are a pretty nutty lot. I mean, the simple fact is that there's a lot of small, fringy left groups out there. We're not engaged with those, but you do occasionally make a joke about them.
What people are starting to worry about is whether there's a lie around the Jeremy Corbyn image of wanting a kinder, more caring politics. That he's saying one thing, but then the people around him are very different. One of them, his director of strategy, thinks Lee Rigby, wasn't a normal terrorist target, and Andrew Fisher, as head of policy, goes around talking about wanting to punch cabinet ministers. All these things around him are very much at odds with the image he's trying to portray, and that suggests it's not true. It's all a bit of a con.
No. If you come onto Jeremy's team, you'll follow the way Jeremy sets that agenda. And that's one in which the personal abuse is put behind us. He's not personally abusive to Cameron at Prime Minister's Question Time. And if you're going to work for Jeremy, that's the pattern you've got to follow. If you've been rude in the past, that's fine. I'm not interested in what someone said 6 months ago on Twitter. I'm interested in what they're saying and doing now and the way they behave now. We've all got, in our past, times we've said silly things, times when we've been angry, times when we've been rude. I mean, all except for Jeremy, actually.
Ken Livingstone, thanks very much.